the reason I wanted you to come on today, well, number one, you've already been on the podcast. Have you done 3 podcasts? But they
Two,
were
I
all
think.
2?
Yeah.
They were all audio ones. And so you've done your story, kind of your overall story on the podcast before. But you've been a board member.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do the full 9 years? Is that right?
9 years?
Was it 9 years?
I don't know. I think I was 8 years.
8 years. Okay.
But I wasn't on the board the whole time.
Yeah.
I was pseudo board member.
Gotcha.
For half of it.
Gotcha. And so you've been on the board, though, for a long time.
Yeah.
And this year, you're rolling off of the board.
Yep. I'm already off.
You're already off. You're officially off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'd been bringing all of our current board members on to do podcasts. And I was just going to skip over you.
And you ran out, so now it's me.
I ran out, yeah. And so, but I thought, the heart of this is to share kind of what the board members are passionate about, what their experiences have been with the ministry and the direction of the ministry. And you have incredible insight and value to bring when it comes to all that. And so
I realized whenever I was at the last board meeting, there was nobody there who was there when I started on the board.
You were the longest tenured one?
Yeah.
And
they were ready for me to go.
Yeah. They actually voted you off, right?
Yes.
No, but
they gave me the opportunity to roll off, or I would be rolled off.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yep.
But yeah.
But you were on the prayer. You were one of the directors of the prayer team. You're the director for the prayer team for the organization for a long time, and you rolled off of that about a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're rolling off the board. What are your hopes and plans? Maybe kind of engagement with True North.
I'm going to serve on the prayer team.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to lead it at camp. I'm just supposed to be there to support whoever leads.
Yeah.
So I kind of like doing that.
How's that feel?
Feels good. It was several years ago. I was praying and I had this image of me reaching down and grabbing people's hands and lifting them up above me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the more people I lifted above me, it was almost like they were balloons, the higher I went. And so I was like, oh, okay, you want me to kind of lift people above me? And God was like, you okay with that? It's like, yeah, I'm cool with that. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Have you already experienced that?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that a little bit. You got any examples?
Well, okay, so there are people who didn't know what they were doing at the beginning, and they
just
served,
like you, right?
Yeah, well, they served on the prayer team, and I was at a camp, and God told me He's surpassed you as a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, really? That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. It didn't bother me.
Yeah.
There's a time when it would have bothered me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So humility.
Incredibly humble.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you did talk. Do you want to dive into the humility piece? You kind of told me that you wanted to talk a little bit about humility.
So when I was praying about this, one thing that I thought about that came to me was, so the first base camp that I went to was in 2012.
Okay.
And I wanted to be on the board. Mm-hmm. And I thought they'd be silly to not have me on the board. I know stuff. And I'm a good guy or whatever. So I offered a couple of times. And I was disappointed, I'd say even offended, that nobody seemed excited about that idea. And so for the first couple of years, I felt like I was striving, like I was trying to get connected, like I was trying to get involved. And I felt like I was on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And it, and I was offended by it.
Really?
I didn't like it. Yeah, it bothered me. And then.
What kind of community? Did you get any feedback on that? Or were you just like not being heard?
They're like, oh, thanks. Yeah. Like, we'll pray about that.
Yeah, we'll reach out.
And then, it just felt like, I don't know. I was like, do they think I'm not ready? Or I wasn't, but did they think I'm not ready?
Yeah, they're not supposed to know that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I was in a group with a lot of the guys who are in leadership. And I think I may not have been as bad as I think I was, but I looked at myself as pretty argumentative, challenging, like kind of aggressive at times, just contrarian. Yeah. Some ways I am now, but I smile more about it. So.
Yeah. what was the core of why you wanted to be
I think I
on
wanted
the
to be
board?
important or significant or included or, just, I guess to matter
Yeah.
is kind of what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did God pursue you through that journey?
Well, it was, okay. So it was, I think I've told a story about this, about when my sister passed away. And then the next camp I went to a month later, God just grabbed a hold of me and he changed my heart. Like he shifted it toward the focus. Like I cared more about people. And it was that shift where he called me up into the prayer team and I just started serving on the prayer team. Nobody asked me to.
Mhm.
So it was, but I guess, I don't know. I'm not the apostle Paul, but Jesus said, "Hey, you're an apostle now." So it's not like that, but it was, and like nobody kicked me out. So
Mhm.
I guess if you act like you're supposed to be there, then
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
but, no, I served a couple of times and then, something happened that it was a situation, and I asked him if it's okay for me to tell it. I was meeting with Trey, who was executive director at the time, and I was going to quit the prayer team if he didn't back down, and he was going to kick me off the prayer team if I didn't back down. So there was a situation where I was going to go to a camp, and I felt like I wasn't supposed to be on staff, but I was supposed to still. It's almost like a lone wolf kind of thing, I was supposed to be praying strategically, or I'm not sure exactly. But I just went and I felt like there was a spirit of suicide at the camp.
Hmm.
And it kind of scared the crap out of me. And so instead of going to the guy who was the prayer director, which is what I should have done, I went uninvited to the staff meeting before the camp and just said, "Hey guys, here's a spirit of suicide here." and the thing is, the guy who was the prayer director, not long before that, he had baptized a guy who committed suicide not long after.
Mm.
And then Trey had a family member who committed suicide a year before while he was at camp.
Mm.
And so it was for me to come in there like that.
Yeah, it's kind of a hot button.
Yeah. And I looked at it as, so the prayer director, the time before that, I brought something to him and he kind of blew it off.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up being something. So I looked at it as I couldn't go to him because he wouldn't take it seriously and this had to be dealt with.
Mm.
And so I just went straight to the staff. They were upset about it, told me I shouldn't have done it. And then there was a time later where like 5 guys got up and were saying that they had been planning suicide. So there was something there.
Yeah.
And I looked at it as like, see, just kind of a cocky kind of thing. And, you didn't listen to me, just kind of and one thing that Trey said that made me very angry was, if there really was one, how come nobody else heard about it? How come nobody else,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, maybe God gave it to just me. So it was kind of, but so here's what happened. I was going to get together with him. I was probably going to say, I'll pray if I want to. I just, I don't have to be on the team. I'll do what I want. But right before I went in, I said, God, how do you see Trey? And then I had this image of him. It was like I was looking down from above. It was in my mind's eye. And looking down from above, I saw him with his son, Zach, like on a road trip in a convertible. And I could feel Trey's love for Zach. Mm-hmm. Because I have sons too, and so I could feel that. I could relate to it. And then I felt God's love for Trey, and I heard, I'm proud of him. Mm. And I said, yeah, but, and I started rattling off like his flaws, and like, there's so many of them. I'm joking, but they're less now than there were. But I started complaining, and God said, yeah, but look how far he's come. Mm. And then I felt God's pride for him. Mm-hmm. So like just totally shifted. Sometimes I don't want to pray about stuff because I want to be mad. Mm-hmm. In this case, you kind of like, But
I think everybody can relate to that feeling. Yeah.
but this time I did, and I don't know what I expected. But then he gave me something like to tell Trey about, something about his relationship with Zach, and it was something specific. And so I went in there. Trey was sitting down already. He was probably expecting me to be combative, and I wasn't. And I told him what I had felt like God told me. And he said he had been out praying specifically about that in the parking lot. And so, like my relationship with Trey has been totally different ever since then.
Wow.
So it just, now we still disagreed about that. He said, you shouldn't have come to say that. And I said, yeah, but I didn't expect to be taken seriously. And then I heard God in that moment say, you were supposed to handle it. And so God gave it to me for me to pray and handle it. But I didn't ask that next question. I just heard spirit of suicide. I'm like, oh crap, I got to get people to take care of this.
Yeah.
And so no, he wanted me to handle it. And it's like, oh, we're both right.
Yeah.
I wasn't supposed to do that, but there was something there.
Yeah.
So that's where I learned, that's where it started as far as I think the humbling myself part.
Yeah.
And then after that, I served on the prayer team, same prayer director. And I told him, hey, I feel like I'm just supposed to, like, you're the boss.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I feel, what I think, what I perceive, but what you say goes.
Yeah.
And if I disagree, I will fully back you.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just that kind of like the authority kind of thing. And I had been reading it. Jesus said, or the centurion said to Jesus, I see I too am one under authority. So he's saying Jesus was under authority. So he had authority. He derived authority. And I feel like God told me, even if they're wrong, but you submit to the authority, there will be a blessing that comes along with it. And if I try to go around it, then whether this is a principle or just applied to me, it wasn't going to work that way. So,
wow. I'm just realizing something.
What?
We did not pray for this podcast.
I prayed before, but yeah, we can pray again.
Well, I mean, I've prayed today plenty, but I didn't pray specifically for this
prayed
podcast.
Slightly more than you did, I'm sure.
Yep, probably. Yep.
Not that it's a competition.
No, it's not.
Okay, let's pray.
But let's pray.
All right.
Would you pray for it? Just
I
consecrate
guess
this
so.
time?
Is it like?
You got it.
Okay.
I believe in you.
I'll try to figure it out.
Okay.
All right, God, you're amazing, and you orchestrate things. And I just pray that it's almost like a river, that we just get in your current and don't fight against it, but go where you want us to go. And that whatever you want to do with this podcast, whether it's for us as individuals, for anybody who's listening or watching, that your will is done and that you speak to people, even if they misunderstand our words or get them mixed up, that whatever you want to say to them, that it pierces their hearts. We thank you. We love you. We praise you. You're pretty awesome. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thanks for that. And so that all happened before you were on the board?
Yeah, that was before I was on the board. And things started changing as far as like there was one time I was going to be speaking at camp, and I had in mind like what I was going to share, and my session was going to be next. And I met with a guy who was, he was in leadership at the camp, and he said, so what are you going to talk about during the session? And I told him, and he's like, that's not what you're supposed to talk about. And I'm like, well, I prayed about this. And I said, well, let's pray about it together. And, we prayed together about it. And he's like, all I hear is that we're not. And I'm like, God, what do I do? And I heard, do what he says. And it was like, I shifted it up. At first I was a little anxious, but then told some totally different story, and God worked through it, and it was awesome. But I didn't fight it. I said, let's pray together about it. But I'd learned enough to know, like, there's a way things work in the kingdom of God. And that if we exalt ourselves, we'll be humbled. And I was humbled multiple times. But if we humble ourselves, we'll be exalted. And it did come the case that I had more influence after I humbled myself. I was asked to be involved in different ways. I was asked to be, even it was pretty cool. When I was asked to join the board, I was asked to join the advisory board, which is I'd go to the board meetings, but I wouldn't get a vote. And I probably would have been offended by that because, like, what, you want me to go? But like, I can say stuff, but I think it was the day, maybe 2 days, but I think it was the day before I was praying and I had this vision, and it was in my mind's eye, kind of how things work. But there was this big, boat, big ship, and there was the eagle's nest, like at the top, and the ship was like True North. And there were people that had different jobs on the ship, but I went to the very top of the eagle's nest, and I had a sniper rifle, which is kind of cool. But I would look off in the distance and see opportunities and threats and things like that. And then I came down, and then there was this big room with windows all around, a big, huge circular table. And I would tell them what I saw, and then I'd go back up there. And I just kept doing that. And then whenever I was asked to be on the advisory board, I was like, that's what that is. I didn't stay and vote. And, I said what I was seeing.
Yeah.
The opportunities and threats and that sort of thing. I was like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Which is incredible.
Which was cool.
Yeah.
And then a few years later, I was asked to be on the board. My first thought was, oh, no, I'm not supposed to do that. Felt like God felt like God said, nope, this is good. So,
you know what's interesting to me about all those situations? I think we as leaders, and when you're in ministry, like the ministry is the focus, and the things that God was giving you in your story about like needing to share about this, the spirit of suicide, like it's for them, right? And then these other situations where you're getting things and it's for the people, but at the end of the day, like God's pursuit of you is actually like not the main story. I mean, there's probably stories we'll never know about that happened because of what happened. But
he's pretty good at doing multiple things at one time.
Yeah. And like the development it gave you.
The vision was pretty cool because I would see like there'd be like somebody stranded out in the water. And then I would, radio down, and people would go out there, and there was our strike force, and there were guys that were on the prayer team that I saw that had like their guns and stuff. But they'd get the guy and they'd bring him, and he would go down to the infirmary. And at that time, it was Dr. Dixon who was taking care of them. He wasn't a counselor at that point. And I didn't know he wanted to be a counselor at that point, but he took care of them. And then once they were healed, they came up and they might serve on the ship. They might go to a different one. It was just this big, intricate thing that was pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you get on the board, you're doing the advisory thing. Talk about the season of being on the board. Like if there's stories you want to share, or just like what it meant to you to be on the board and how it developed you. Yeah. Talk about your personal experience with that.
I think that, I don't know, it didn't really feel any different because I was in a men's group with a lot of guys that were on the board. And I mean, I didn't feel this like amazing, like, look at me now, I'm important. It was just, God gave me something, I'd share it. It was, I don't know, it was just kind of, it became the norm, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And a lot of cool stuff happened. The really cool thing about the board, and I'm sure other guys have talked about this too, but like we do listening prayer.
Yeah.
Or we did, they do, I'm not part of the we anymore. I'm going to say we because I want to.
Yeah, you are.
But we would do listening prayer. And, I remember a time when I was on the advisory board part, and there's one guy who I didn't really know, but I would hear something and he'd say it. I'd hear something and he'd say it. And I was like, this is weird. And then another guy was saying stuff that it's like it didn't connect at all. And I felt like what I was hearing was very different from what that guy was hearing. And so my first thought when I left was, well, that guy needs to get on board or get out of the way. And God was like, what if he's the one I'm talking to? I was like, ooh, okay. And then I texted the guy who when he talked, it connected. And I told him, hey man, when you were talking, it really connected. And then I told him the story. He's like, man, that happened. And God said, what if he's the one? And the guy that I was texting said, I think that, and he just like had wisdom that would just come out of, he said, I think in this situation, consensus is more important than being right. And so, yeah, it was, I still had, dude, that stuff still rises up in me.
Yeah.
Like, get out of the way. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you have any stories of some hard decisions or fun decisions that you look back on and think that they were critical for True North and where we are today?
Well, you being executive director was one that was pretty difficult because we did not, I'm joking. That was an easy one. We went through the process of interviewing and stuff, but it was pretty clear to me from the get-go. It was, there were hard decisions, big decisions about overall strategy. Where are we going to be in 5 years? What do we want for the organization? Yeah. Is it more about, do we want to have more camps and spread all over the place? Do we want to, to focus and stay small? There's all these questions that we tried to walk with God. And sometimes I think we would walk with God, a certain direction, and he has us turn. But I think that he knew, just like it is with anybody, he knew we needed to head that way before we could go that way.
Yeah.
And it's, a group of people hearing, there was so much of the time, there was consensus, sometimes too much of the time. Because that is one thing when guys get together and you're praying and you're hearing from God, there can be a bit of, I don't want to hear something different from the other people.
Yeah.
And I wasn't afraid of that.
Yeah, that's what I love about you, because like I can relate to that personally. Of like, if you're in a listening prayer moment and you're asking about a certain thing, and someone else speaks up first and it's different, like man, maybe I wasn't hearing right, and you kind of just wait it out to see what the next person said. And
but I don't want it to be like that.
But yeah, and I've experienced so many times with you, like that's not a thing, and so.
Because one thing, like with the deal with Trey, I learned that both can be right. You just don't understand how they're both right.
Yeah.
And, so I think we get it out there. The Bible talks about testing the word. I mean, we're not supposed to despise prophecy, but we're supposed to test the word.
Yeah.
And in doing that, sometimes if you're not ever rejecting it, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And it's a problem if you're not ever rejecting it when it comes from you.
Yeah.
Because I tend to say, I feel like I heard this. And it's not about a lack of faith. It's more about, if I say, this is how it is. And as the prayer director, it got to where people listened to what I had to say.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want it to carry too much weight. Like, I felt like what God showed me, that my job was at a camp, and I saw, people just kind of like guys that were on staff, they were standing around, and I had like a carabiner, and I hooked it to them, and it's like they went up to God. So my job was to help make that connection.
Oh, I love that.
Not to have it flow through me, but like plug it in and have it be direct.
Yeah.
So I didn't want people to listen to what I had to say too much.
Yeah. I love that. Man, that's kind of the overall culture of True North too. Is now what's really special about your gifting is like, it's just way down the path of like these beautiful experiences and encounters with God that are really incredible. Whereas like the base camp staff, we're like, hey, help them just create the environment to hear from their Father. and um, it's a lot more simple. Oh gosh, what's the right word? Simpler of a
More simpler.
more simpler of a idea, but that's culture setting to where we want it for other people. We don't want to be it for
Yeah.
them.
Plus, it's exhausting.
Yeah,
And then people will come to you and, and it's like, dude, this is not, that you can do this directly.
yeah,
And that's how it's supposed to be.
yeah.
It,
Have you seen that?
where it,
Ha- have you seen people that you've been able to successfully lash that carabiner onto and see growth and development out of them?
I mean, that's what God showed me the prayer team was supposed to be about when I became the director.
Mm-hmm.
There was the initial couple years where it was just about, a lot of it was about me getting my butt kicked and other people just kind of being the front line, not knowing what you're doing. And then as it became easier, I guess, or more comfortable or whatever, then that's when he shifted. And that's when I saw the, reaching down and grabbing somebody's hand and lifting them up. That was mainly about prayer team type stuff. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's what it was supposed to be and what it became.
Yeah. So walk us through what the carabiner, what that process kind of looks like. Like, let's say I come to you and say, like, Damon, I'm not hearing from God this weekend. Like, I want to hear more from him, and I want to have visions like you. Like, what's your kind of?
Well, if somebody said that, first off, I'd say we all hear differently.
Yeah.
And hear can mean this is just kind of a thing. Like some people audibly, some people it's just the still small voice. It may be, just a feeling, kind of feels like a download, or, there can be circumstances, a lot of times it'll be a Bible verse comes to your mind, and it might just be Psalms, blah, 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 and you open it up and it connects right there. So, like there are all kinds of ways to hear from God, and my way may not be their way. Now, there have been times where it's interesting where God told me to give them my way, which was weird.
Yeah.
And, and then the way I've heard from God has changed and grown. And there have been situations where I prayed and broke something off of me, and then I could hear in a way I couldn't before. So a lot of what I'm looking at, if somebody's saying they want to hear from God, I'll maybe correct some misunderstanding about what it even is.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people have misunderstandings about that. I probably still do to some degree.
Right.
I certainly do. I feel like I hear that right now. It's like, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, he corrects me mid-sentence a lot, which is kind of, it can make moments awkward, but I don't care.
Yeah.
But I'll talk to people about that, and then I'll pray, and whenever I'm praying, I'm asking God questions, and I'm, asking him how you want me to pray, and I might just get a feeling about something, and I'll ask them. There have been times where I felt like I was supposed to ask a question. It was a weird question. I asked it and they break down crying. And so there's some healing that needs to happen first. There's lots of things that get in the way.
Yeah.
Agreements, spiritual warfare, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And so people, I think the Bible talks about earnestly desiring spiritual gifts. I think especially prophecy, and that kind of thing. So it's, and I think that if you're doing it, and this is something that I learned was, because I asked him why he let me have this stuff, because it didn't seem fair. Because I told him I didn't feel like I was worthy of, from the standpoint of, if other people had experienced the things that I've experienced, you couldn't help but believe. Like it's just, it's silly. Miracle after miracle, things that are confirmed. It was just, it was silly.
Yeah.
And so, I asked him why I got it, and he told me, and I may have said this in the other podcast, but you have my heart. And it wasn't like, you're such a good person. It's, I called out to him at that previous camp, and he gave me his heart. So it was like something he gave me.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you have my heart and you'll tell people. So he'd give me a weird thing to say to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just do it.
Yeah.
And so I think he like fast tracked some of it because I was willing to take those risks and look stupid or whatever. And so the Bible also talks about your spiritual senses, being honed through practice.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a big part of it too.
Yeah.
So it's not like everybody can hear from God.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to pursue it, and you got to be willing. A lot of times John Eldridge talks about this. If you're praying for other people, you're asking for other people, then it's a lot easier to hear than it is if it's just you're asking for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, this makes me think his latest book, Experience Jesus Really, which, if this is a question in your mind, like you want more of kind of what we're talking about here, that's a great book to kind of dive into, because he talks like the tricky part of the question I asked you of like, what would you say to someone that comes to you, is there's not a checkbox lit. Like there's not,
Right.
there's not a strategy. I mean, there is, and there is like,
There's some big picture ideas
like,
and things that I've learned
right.
that these are the types of things that can get in the way.
Yeah. But it's about, and
But it's for that
you
person.
have to immerse yourself in these environments too, right? Like you have to step out and be a part of things that these types of things are happening.
Yeah.
And what would you say, what contributed to, because I mean, you've been committed for a long time to being in these environments and being in men's groups. Like, can you speak a little more
I
towards
felt
that?
alive.
Yeah.
I never felt alive like that before.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. I've got emotion just below the surface, and you've seen me cry many times, and I'm not quite sure why, but I feel like it's a God thing. I don't know exactly why, but no, it's like it made me feel alive. I never felt loved like I did.
Mm-hmm.
I could see other people feeling loved, and that, just it was beautiful. I couldn't get enough of it.
Mm-hmm. How about now?
I've been tired for the last year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been weary.
Yeah.
But and I wasn't reaching out to people the way I had, but it started back.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah. What have you learned about your relationship with God over the past couple of years? Because I mean, you don't have to dive into the suffering, but we know there's been suffering, and you've cried out to God in probably new ways than you ever have. Like, what has that looked like in your relationship with God?
I heard something really interesting when I was praying, and I wrote it down. And I heard desperation is a powerful tool.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times that's what it takes for people to call out to God.
Yeah.
And it stinks that it's that way.
Yeah.
But man, he's so good. Like, there has been suffering with my family, with me specifically, the last year and a half especially. But he keeps showing up over and over again. Like, I don't blame him at all. He's not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
He's told me stuff to do that I haven't done. And but I also know that the suffering, the Bible talks about, what is it, like, ultimately produces character, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm waiting for that to happen. No, I think it is changing my character, but it's just a part of this world.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started on the prayer team, life became more difficult for me.
Yeah.
As a whole. It became more alive and more wonderful, and but also leading the prayer team, especially, I put a target on my back and I got beaten up quite a bit. And that over time, I think that just kind of accumulated to where I got weary.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the day, a morning, he told me, it's time.
Mm.
And I knew what he was talking about, stepping down from leading the prayer team. And I texted you immediately. And it was kind of a relief.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have thought it would be that way, but yeah, it was a relief.
Yeah.
So I'm calling out to him. Am I calling out to him differently? Some ways, yeah, it's more like, instead of, if I'm feeling strong, it's praying for this. God, how do you want me to pray? It's just this kind of powerful, active kind of thing. And it just got to where it's just,
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
Then I open the Bible and it talks about, what is it? His strength is made perfect in our weakness.
Mm.
So it shows me, oh, I'm not the one that has to be strong for things to be okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've got to be okay being weak.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't supposed to cry this time. I was coming here and I was like, man, I've cried before. I don't think I will this time.
Man, I recently heard something that was it's been really pivotal for me.
Something I said?
No. No. That's been a while. Is learning to just embrace your suffering, and like, and by that I
Yeah.
mean, don't pray it away, but pray that it will produce that character that we talked about in you. And I've seen some real fruit from that. And
I don't like suffering though.
no, it's
Sometimes
horrible.
it might be an attack that we pray
Yes.
against, but probably if I say, God, is this suffering you want me to pray against?
Mhm.
And he says, no. I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'll still pout with him a bit, but
Mhm.
he doesn't get mad.
Yeah. Yeah. He's so good. He's so good. What do you want to talk about next?
God, what do you want us to talk about next?
Mhm.
What's next? I don't know what's next.
What's next? What's next for you?
I'm going to be serving on the prayer team. We'll see what that looks like. I don't know. You know what? I'm supposed to pursue it. I think I've just been waiting for him to let me know, but I'm supposed to be pursuing it.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay.
What would be your pitch to men about the prayer team, about being on the prayer team? What are your thoughts towards it?
I want to sell it.
Huh?
If I want to sell being on the prayer team,
Just and not in a fake way, like for the ones that are called to
No, I
it,
understand.
of course, but
and that's when I tend to say,
because you and I both know there's so many men out there that are part of this that they belong on the prayer team.
yeah,
And they're equipped and they don't know it.
Right.
Right?
well, there's the idea, and God doesn't call the equipped; He equips the called.
Mm-hmm.
There are guys who want to serve on the prayer team who probably shouldn't yet.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to be on the board, but I shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
Some of the people who are more reluctant, once they do it, it'll change everything for them.
Mhm.
And I've seen guys like that.
Yeah,
that
me too.
they are completely different.
Yeah.
Whenever you first serve on so I looked at it as there was a leader of the prayer team who had served on a prayer team before, had experience, and then there was kind of the number two person who had shadowed a prayer team before, and so they were kind of under the authority, and like they weren't the ones going head to head, running into battle first line. And then the shadow, I had no expectations for them. They were there to watch, and if God called them to get involved, then they would. But it was, no, you just are here included, and you get to watch. God would almost always have them step up in ways that were awesome.
Yeah.
So that's how I would look at it. Now, yeah, it'll change everything. If you let it.
Yeah.
And it can be hard not to let it.
Yeah. And it's also like, it's not about having eloquent prayers either.
No, dude, I still don't.
Yeah.
I pray awkwardly all the time.
Yep. Yep.
Sometimes purposely, because it's funny to me.
Yep. I mean, 95% of the time, someone laughs during Damon's prayers. That's just how it is. And I love that. Like,
sometimes it's God who's laughing. I can feel him laughing. Like it's
like sometimes I wonder if the guys that are thinking about being on the prayer team are thinking about like being on the microphone praying over breakfast or something. And like that's what they do. And it's like, actually, I don't think the prayer team does that at all.
No. Well, I have, but I think I, bless this fried chicken to the nourishment of our bodies.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do that playfully. But no, a lot of it is just connecting with and communing with God.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was, and this is stuff learning early on. Some of the guys who were on the prayer team had been in the military, and they looked at spiritual warfare as kind of like going out, rooting it out, and fighting it. And that's understandable. And maybe that's what they were supposed to do. What I felt like God showed me was that his light would be in me. And the closer I got to him, the more intimate, the more worship, the light would get brighter and brighter. Yeah. And when I felt like I heard in response to the spiritual warfare aspect was crank up the lights and the cockroaches will scatter. And so it was more about, his presence in there so thick or whatever that he's our shield.
Yeah. That's, I'm not sure exactly when this podcast being released, but last Thursday was our January Frontier, and the message was just that. It was, the tagline of it was prioritize prayer in the church and you'll get kingdom in the city. But like, and prayer isn't, like I said, it's not just it's the presence of God.
Yeah.
Like it's the union, it's the communion with God. And that's the light growing inside of you. So if we're focused on building that, like, and then as we walk out into our cities, like the cockroaches do flee. And
there are times where, now I do believe you're supposed to say stuff.
Yeah.
And, like the word of God spoken out loud is very powerful.
Yeah.
So is his presence, that is, he's walking with us. Yeah. And he's shown me that before where, this was a few months ago. I was imagining a couple of guys that had come to my mind. One was a Navy SEAL, one was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy. They're both incredibly strong. And I just thought about, what? They could beat the crap out of me in all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. But if they were on my side and I went into a bar or something, I feel totally comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I'm not worried about anybody doing anything. And then I saw Jesus walking into a bar with me.
Yeah.
And I felt the same way, even more so.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just this, like, because he was with me. And somebody, and this was kind of a vision I had, somebody pulled out a gun and it hit me. Wait, the Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy can't do anything against a gun.
Yeah.
But what I saw Jesus was like, Poof.
Yeah.
and it dropped. And then like guns dropped from other people, knives and all that stuff just kind of dropped to the ground. And so having him walking with us, I felt that power when he showed me that. And he's ridiculously powerful.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And that's why prayer team at camp, it used to intimidate me, but it doesn't now, because it's like, man, I got this guy with me.
Yeah.
So now, if I stop paying attention to him and I start walking down by myself, okay, now it's like I'm in a dark alley without the, jujitsu guy, the Navy SEAL with me, and all right, people can jump me pretty easily. So I've got to have him with me.
Yeah, and being on the prayer team is like being in a real like kingdom situation, like where there's a lot of spiritual awareness, and you truly get to practice relying on him. Like I know our daily lives are like that, but like it's like special. It's like special forces training, though.
Yeah, it's different because
on the team,
it's a situation where your spiritual senses are automatically, more tuned up. You have other guys, so like where one or more are gathered, you have lots of guys gathered.
Yeah.
And the focus is on Jesus, and it's game time, And so, it's not practice as, who is it? AI, right? It's not practice, it's game time.
Yep.
And
I thought you meant artificial intelligence.
No, isn't it
GPT?
Allen Iverson?
Yeah,
He's AI before there was AI.
About practice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Practice. So this is game time. And then it is the presence of God. I don't know how this stuff works, but I know it's stronger there.
Yeah.
And it's easier to connect with him. And it's like, it's so much faster, so much like the development when you're on the prayer team. Yeah, the growth happens quickly.
Yes.
And you see a lot of stuff. And there's just like you have these, we were there at a camp, and there's a thunderstorm coming straight at us when we're about to have the bonfire outdoors. And it's like, what are we going to do? And one guy's like, well, how about we just pray that the storm splits? And it's coming, and then it spread. It went around us and then came back together. Like, that happened.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a coincidence.
Yeah.
But then this other thing happens. Maybe that's a coincidence, but then it's dozens of them.
Yeah.
And it's, okay, they're not all coincidences.
Right.
And being on the prayer team and just staff at camp, in general, you see so much stuff you can't help but believe.
Yeah. That's awesome. What, in the climate of men right now, what do men need right now? Like, we know that the answer is communion and union with God. How do we get the message across that they need that? How do we, and what are the things that will lead to that?
We show them what it looks like.
And so podcasts just like this.
No. One-on-one kind of stuff.
One-on-one, okay.
Reaching out to somebody, you feel prompted to, you reach out. I've had a lot of stuff happen that way.
Yeah.
I've had people I felt prompted to reach out to on Instagram that I didn't know them.
Yeah.
And, I slid into their DMs. And like, things happen. A guy, Christmas Eve, told me that he'd been thinking about killing himself.
Wow. And
it was just, and I prayed for him, and he's a guy that he had a cool woodworking project. I do woodworking, and I felt like I was supposed to reach out to him, and it was a while before anything spiritual came up. And I felt like I was supposed to one day say, hey, I don't know how you feel about this, and then I told him a story, and that kind of opened up conversation. And so, I care about him a lot. Never met the guy.
Yeah.
He knows he's cared about.
Yeah.
And so I think that, and just cool stuff. Like, I shared a couple things with him, And then like I was telling him how to pray, and he did that, and he had confirmation, like very specific confirmation that happened later that day. And so it doesn't have to be at base camp.
Yeah.
But it's just showing people what communion with him looks like, and being willing to take risks to do that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys, if they haven't gotten to the point of desperation, then they feel like they're doing okay. And they don't really need it. So I think that's a big part of it, is just living it out. That's what Jesus did.
Yeah.
A big part of what I'm supposed to do is support others to do stuff. He's told me he wants me to write books. He said it for a long time. I haven't done it. I don't know why. Seems like a lot.
Yeah. That sounds terrifying.
But it's like everything else. I know he'll tell me what to say.
Yeah.
And it'll be good. But, we can know something, and then I don't see the immediate benefit. You know what? It might be a little bit of I know if I reach out and say this weird thing to somebody, there's a decent chance something cool is going to happen right then.
Yeah.
If I write a book, that doesn't happen for a while. So it could be immaturity or, immediate gratification kind of stuff on my part.
Yeah.
Where, no, hold on, I'm supposed to be here to make myself look good. No, it's, I think he still wants me to.
Let's do it. Let's make a podcast announcement. What's it going to be called?
Well, the one originally was going to be called Surrender to Your Redemption. I would assume it's about that, surrendering to your redemption.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the one it's supposed to be still, or if he had somebody else write something along those lines. What I felt like he told me was there were a certain amount of books he had for me to write, and if I didn't do it, he was going to have somebody else do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that one's still on the table or not.
Yeah. Are you drawn to a specific type of person with a specific story?
My wife. Drawn to her quite a bit.
That's some good brownie points right there. We'll clip
she won't watch
We'll clip
this.
that out for you.
Yeah. I'll try to get her to watch this. She might.
Yeah.
She might take a while.
Yeah. But like, do you find yourself kind of working with the same type of guys on the same type of things, or is it like everything?
All kinds of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I'm the same guy no matter what. And some people might not like it, and that's okay. I can be a lot sometimes, but no, it's like, I don't want to be limited in that way. Now, if I look for patterns, I mean, humans, we can always find patterns, whether they're there or not, but I don't know. I would rather it not be just one type of person. I don't think Jesus worked that way.
Yeah.
I guess they were Jewish for the most part, but
yeah. Do you find yourself doing, like we all kind of experience that whenever you're at the frontier or at your men's group or at base camp or any of the retreats, like you're like usually a lot of us, our best selves really come forward in those moments. Do you find in your normal day to day, having the opportunity to, minister and help people and walk with them and share words with them?
I mean,
what's that look like for you?
Whenever so you said best selves, I think more connected selves. So if I'm there and I'm intentionally connected to God, it's the same if I'm intentionally connected to God elsewhere.
Yep.
What I felt like God showed me before was that going to base camp, create environments where men can hear from God, and then become an environment where people can hear from God. That you leave and you take it with you.
Yeah.
And I think that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
but I have to tune into him. And so much of the time I don't. I'll get little bits, but I'm not paying attention as
Yeah.
much. Or like last night, I'll be a jerk to my wife
Mm.
and get angry and we have a fight and I win, of course. I didn't win. Even if I win, I didn't win.
Yeah.
I don't win. Yeah. So, but yeah. And, at home, I can be a jerk. It should be a place where I should be pretty tuned in, but a lot of times I go there and tune out.
Yes.
Which, to be tuned into God it's not work. Like it requires intentionality,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't take from you.
Yeah.
It doesn't exhaust you. It doesn't wear you down. It seems like it will for some weird reason.
Yeah.
It seems like if I take this effort to connect to God, but it doesn't end up being that way.
Mm-hmm.
It ends up being life-giving.
Yeah. And we tune out because of warfare.
Yeah, but we open ourselves up to more.
Because we tune out.
Yeah. And I do that too much at home.
Yep. Me too.
And so it's not surprising that whenever I'm at base camp or with guys who I've met there, they listen to what I say more than my wife and kids do. That, because I don't tend to get mad at guys at base camp, and when I have, we work it out. But yeah, with my wife and kids, they've seen more of the bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it harder for them to accept, especially if it's something challenging.
Yeah. 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 I think we all have experience with that for sure.
Like God's in all the little stuff. Like I was asking, I asked him a question recently and it was about giving money to something. And I heard an amount and it seemed like a weird amount to hear. And then I asked my wife and she said the same amount. That happens all the time. Just like little things like that, just the stories that are, and it really, it's cool how when I do include my wife in it, God speaks to her in different ways than he does to me.
Yeah.
She's one that God had me give to her the way I hear, but she has her own also, and, but we don't pray together all the time.
Yeah.
And I can even think about it and I'm like, I'm just kind of tired. Yeah. But so I guess my story is that I get lazy. No, the story, like, he's always working. And if we want to get on board, cool stuff will happen.
Yeah. I think what I love about that though is that this is just an offering of grace to people listening to this. Cause like I've literally heard the words come out of men's mouth like, oh, I just can't hear like Damon does, or I can't do this like Damon. And it's like, no.
And I'll say they can't hear like I do. I don't do that.
But like it's not like you're just out here living this lifestyle that is unattainable. Like all of this stuff, like we're all called to it. And I'm really thankful. Like we've gushed over you so many times in the past couple of years because you've impacted so many men's lives. But your willingness to open up to the wildness of God, like you've passed that carabiner on to many of us to also be open to the wildness. And man, it's been instrumental in my life. Like beyond a lot of teachings that I've heard, like just the experiences of being your friend has brought that. And so, man, I'm thankful for it. And I'm excited that you've got this time now to kind of dive back into the prayer team and that we can continue to see more men step into this lifestyle and into the wildness of God. and be able to spread that all throughout True North.
He is wild, and it's uncontrollable. And we decide we want to take that ride with him, or do we want to steer ourselves? And it's like we can have controlled boredom.
Yeah.
Not really controlled, but we think we're controlling it. We can even have controlled adventure, but like the stuff that really brings life, transformation, just seeing God working, like you have to, maybe God's can be like that. You got to get on board or get out of the way because he's moving.
Yeah.
And I want to go where he's going.
Yeah.
Unless I don't.
Yeah.
But overall I do.
Yeah. I love that. I think the last thing I want to ask you, and the interesting part about that, like you're not a part of like the frontier planning or anything like that, but our strategy for this year, our intentionality and focus is that we're going to prioritize prayer, like within these walls, within our culture. Like prayer is the foundation of who True North is. When I say that, what does that mean to you? How do you interpret that? How would you interpret that to others?
I would say it's about connecting with God. I mean, it's about a focus on him. And so it's not just praying for something. It's not just something that we do. It's not just say these words and get intentional about having your quiet time and saying the words. I think prayer is connecting with him. And
how is the world, how is that different than what, I mean, not all churches, but the church, like, because we know there's churches that they're not prioritizing prayer and union with God. What does the alternative look like?
If we aren't doing that, what are we doing? If we're still involved?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe like bake sales or like, I mean, there's stuff that's like good stuff to do, like serving others, like all that stuff's good stuff to do. But if you do it prayerfully, then you make more of a difference. I mean, some people, like you can do a lot of good stuff without him, but with him, it's easy, if that makes sense. It's like just so whenever you were saying, what do you want us to talk about next? You're praying for it. I heard take a ride. And so that's kind of what I'm getting right now is like get on board, like take a ride with him wherever he wants to go. And I think that prayer, if that's where he's wanting to go, then communion, serving, it's not just about saying words, like a book of prayer and you pray these specific words. I think that can be a start and it can help you connect to him.
Yeah.
But prayer could also be just kind of wishful thinking or begging for things or, I believe for this. And it's, well, he didn't say it. Like you're believing for something that, you're just like, please God, do this. I mean, like a wish list kind of thing. But I think it's like what Jesus said, on earth as it is in heaven, that I want to pray that what he wants on earth, like his perspective from heaven, that's how it happens on earth. And I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
I think that's what prayer is.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus did say, this is how you should pray.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that like the way I'm kind of thinking of it too is just like we focus in on finding him with as each of us as individuals. Like at True North, we're going to lead people to do that, to find him within themselves, so that they can go and live life with him. Like focus in and then go with, instead of focusing on or the things of God and then hoping to like make those things happen in our own life under our own
instead
strength.
of focusing on the organization or even the people, you focus on him and let him give you the priorities and the direction.
Right. Yeah. So that's the way I see it.
Good times.
Good times. Damon, thanks for coming on, man.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're awesome.
Thanks for the drink.
You're welcome.